muscle function and those kinds of things. Obviously, in my discussion of the brain and in listening to the other presenters, we present in isolation, but especially when you're thinking about sports and the whole nature of this conference, it does need an interdisciplinary approach. And so I think that's the advantage of having these kinds of meetings and so on. So yeah.
I think just to kind of reinforce what Dr. Yusuf said, we have to keep in mind that the research that is being presented is really zoned in on a particular question that the panelists may have been trying to address. And in some instances, it may actually have been a project for master's, PhD, etc. So they don't have the ability to really go too far, especially when we give them 15 minutes and you have me waving in front as well. But as Dr. Yusuf said, it's definitely highlights the fact that we all need to kind of come together. No one can work in isolation in order to get the right fit. We have another question here, Ms. Thomas.
Hi, good morning to all. My question is to Gregory Seals. All right, I have two questions, right? Okay, you're advocating eccentric loading of the hamstring in combination with coordination skills in order to reduce the hamstring injuries. That's what the research proposes, right? Now, my question to you is, do you recommend eccentric loading in conjunction with concentric loading of the hamstring? Meaning, like, for instance, like deadlifts and its variations and so forth? And if yes, what sequence or at what stage of the weight training programs do you recommend this? Could you just elaborate along this line?
Just hold a second one. Just let me answer the first one. Just say that one more time. Let me just get that one more time.
All right. So my question to you is: do you recommend eccentric loading in conjunction with concentric loading as well, or
yes,
independently, or the second question, if yes, then in what sequence do you recommend it, and at what stages within the weight training program do you recommend
all right, so
these exercises?
Basically with eccentric loading, there has to be concentric movement as well. But you want to focus mainly on the eccentric part of the movement. So basically, like a deadlift, if you're doing a deadlift, especially with a hex bar, what we want to do is to stay a little longer, which will mean we call it TUT, time under tension. Stay a little longer in the eccentric phase rather than staying longer in the concentric phase. So basically, and even though we focusing on the eccentrics, we also have to be concerned with the isometric state. Because in the isometric state, like on the picture with the guy on the glutam developer, what happens there is that in that isometric state, he's in a more stable state. And basically, what we want to do is reduce the degrees of freedom by combining all muscles together. And it's not only, like on that particular exercise, it's not only limited to that exercise. What we want to do is change the direction, change the heights, change all the different angles, take a medicine ball, throw it at him, he has to rotate, catch all the different angles to basically what you call, well, I couldn't get into it because of the 15 minutes, but to deepen what you call actuators of the muscle. So basically, if you think about the muscles having a landscape, what you want to do is to deepen that landscape so you have a more stable state. And in training the hamstring like that, you tend to reduce the incidence of injuries and increase your performance.
So we'll just take this last question here. I know I've dipped in a bit into the break.
Hi, good morning. My question is for Dr. Jagisa. You mentioned the use of the pool noodle, which will assist to lessen the pain in the joint, the shoulder joint. My question is that, can the change of the angle of the bench itself, maybe elevated from probably the neck or a little from by the back there, help to avoid the pain itself?
Okay. Now, if we elevate the position around the neck, we can probably provide some cervical support. If we adjust the lower back area where it's supported by elevating, we will get some support there. But what the pool noodle does, it's separate from those two elements in that it elevates the spine. That's where the upper back is there, and you have your scapula there. It's retracted and protracted, right? So basically, you want your scapula to be a little off the flat surface to allow it to retract and protract. That is where the pain, that is why you're experiencing the pain in the shoulder. The scapula is not able to retract and protract. Now, there are some who also have pain in the lower back. If you have pain in the lower back, that means you have some impingement going on. So what we recommend, you lift your legs, creating that flat back position. That's why you saw I investigated the flat back position as well. And that would alleviate some of the pain. So it depends on the type of impingement you have, because some people may have rotatory, rotated spines, and you may have the impingement at the front of the spine, in the frontal plane. So it all depends on the person as well, right? But to answer your question directly, you need support for the neck, you will need support for the lower back, and you will need support for the spine, such that it elevates the spine to cause natural scapulohumeral rhythm, right?
Right, thank you very much. If you're like me and you still have questions, I encourage you to grab the panelists on the break or at lunchtime and keep the discourse going. I'd like to congratulate the panelists on their work. And they're very stimulating presentations. Thank you again.